Part 20. Transformed into a comic book artist. Author, Miao by Shen Wu. Chapter 197. Chapter 193. Food comics must be colorful to be food comics. Really? Jokinja looked at Susiener suspiciously, then stretched out her hand. Give me your phone. Why? Susiener said vigilantly. Let me see your chat records in the group, Jokinja said lightly. Who knows if you will lie to me? You are no longer worthy of my trust. Now my little cotton-padded jacket is Jingshu. My phone is my personal privacy. Susiener glared at Lin Jingshu fiercely, vomiting blood in her heart. Who wants to be your little cotton-padded jacket? And teacher, is this considered cuteness? Then fill out this registration form, Jokinja said earnestly. You stay at home every day, your body is about to rot. Last time you ran 800 meters, you looked like you had lost your soul. If you hadn't been twitching, I would have thought you had gone to hell. You are so weak, how can you not go out for a walk? This mathematical Olympiad exchange meeting is jointly organized by the neighboring Jiangsu province and our magic city. The location is in Suzhou, and the academic exchange will be held in Qingyuan Hot Spring for 3 days and 2 nights. You can also soak in the hot springs at that time. How comfortable. Nima, this mathematical Olympiad exchange meeting is held in a hot spring? I'm afraid it's an unspoken rule. Thinking about it, Susiener said seriously, Teacher, I really want to help the cartoonist named Luo and get justice. There are so many evil ways and negative energy in society now. I can't encourage the evil trend. I want to use my brush to take charge of justice. Speaking, Susiener picked up her phone and opened the salted fish concentration camp and said, I thought about it and felt that this matter can't be let go. In a few days, I will open a new comic book with food themes. You don't have to promote it. Luoan, give me the chat records between you and that friend, as well as our previous chat records in the group. I will expose it on Weibo at that time. After posting, Susiener handed the phone to Jokinja with a righteous face. Suspiciously taking the phone, Jokinja found that the people in the group seemed very excited. They were all thanking Susiener for her righteousness. Even the group owner came out to thank her. But these are none of her business. After browsing the chat records, she found that it was true. Jokinja looked at Susiener speechlessly. She didn't want to draw just now, but now she suddenly changed her mind. She probably didn't want to go to the mathematical Olympiad exchange. Seeing Jokinja looking at her, Susiener sighed and said, I actually want to go to the mathematical Olympiad exchange, but there is no way. I don't have time. I need to seek justice for my fans. I have to think about the plot these days, and then I will give that person a good slap in the face. Hearing this, Jokinja took out a small notebook from her pocket and handed it to Susiener, saying lightly, sign for me. Ah, Susiener looked confused, and Lin Jingshu, who had been paying attention to her, choked. I am a loyal fan of your Book of Life and Death comics, Jokinja said in a low voice, and she was afraid that other students would hear it, but she knew Susiener's identity. After all, she went to the other party's house before and caught Chen Shui and Susiener doing something indecent on the bed. Fortunately, the misunderstanding was resolved later, but it also let Jokinja know Susiener's pen name. Since her student was a comic book artist, she was naturally very concerned about it, and she became addicted to it. At the beginning, she did not pay much attention to it, and she did not browse the comics drawn by Susiener. What made her addicted was Your Name, but it was discontinued at the beginning, which made her helpless. After that, she ran to read Book of Life and Death, and she became addicted again. Now Jokinja has indeed become a fan of Susiener. Of course she will not show it. But now, teacher, even if you say so, I will not go to the mathematical Olympiad exchange meeting. Susiener looked at Jokinja vigilantly, thinking it was the other party's conspiracy. After all, she just said to seek justice for fans. I asked you to sign, Why are you so fussy? Zhou Qinjie slapped the small notebook and said angrily, sign quickly. You are probably not a fake fan. Susienner signed a pen name on the small notebook with a grievance, and specially marked it as a gift to Zhou Qinjie, the most beloved and respected head teacher. Zhou Qinjie picked up the small notebook with satisfaction, and then looked at Susienner and said, do you really not want to go to the Mathematical Olympiad exchange meeting? Actually, I really want to go, but there is no way. I want to seek justice for my fans. Susienner still looked righteous. I know. Zhou Qinjie looked at the time and saw that it was almost time for class. She took the registration form and went out. When she arrived at the door, Zhou Qinjie picked up her mobile phone and opened Ye Yuking, who was far away in Yanjing. Yuking, I have something to discuss with you, about your niece. Jingshu, is the teacher really my fan? Susienner saw that Zhou Qinjie had disappeared and asked Lin Jingshu next to her. How should I know? I don't think so. How can fans treat their idols like this, thinking that Zhou Qinjie would stare at her every day, just like an enemy? Forget it, let's settle the score for you betraying me. Susienner looked at Lin Jingshu fiercely and said viciously, you have learned bad things. Tell me how many times you have betrayed me. I haven't settled the score for the last Weibo. Lin Jingshu smiled embarrassedly and said coquettishly, I'm doing this for your own good. I asked you to go to the hot spring. Hot springs in summer can double the detoxification. Your physical fitness is so poor, you should go out for a walk. Ding-ling-ling. Susienner pouted and planned to go home to teach the other party a lesson. As soon as she sat back in the chair, Susienner felt that life was boring. She obviously didn't want to draw comics anymore, but she was forced to draw them. Isn't this a pit? However, it's better to let her go to the Mathematical Olympiad exchange conference. She didn't want to go out for 3 days and 2 nights. Compared with going out, she prefers to play at home. However, since she promised the people in the Salted Fish group, she must punish that friend and let him know whether the iron fist of justice hurts. Of course, she will definitely not draw it herself. She has a comic assistant in the enhanced company. Although she has to pay, she is also a comic assistant. She just needs to make a draft and unify the style and hand it over to the studio. However, thinking of drawing a chef, plus Luoan in the group asked her for advice, then she can only choose that comic. Food Wars. This is also the author's representative work after Going to the Sea. It is drawn by Saiki Shun and the original work is Tsukuda Yuto. Food Wars. Shokuji no Soma is a very imaginative food comic, and the biggest attraction is the setting of clothes bursting when eating, which is probably unique to food comics. However, this comic was not very popular in the island country in the past, and the sales of the animation were even average, but it became popular in China. But she doesn't care whether it is popular or not, anyway, she likes this work, and food themes are naturally the first choice. Of course, when watching Food Wars, Shokuji no Soma or all food-themed comics, there is one thing that Susienner is most unhappy about, that is, they are all black and white. Don't these cartoonists know that food-themed comics can only show the attraction of food in color? Food comics must be in color to be food comics. So Susienner decided that this Food Wars Shokuji no Soma is all in color, without black and white. This is the resentment of a foodie watching a food comic. It's 520, so let's do a small event. As long as there are 52 comments in the chapter notes, Master Miyobi, I like you, I have liked you since you opened the book, there will be 3 updates tomorrow, valid until 12 p.m. on May 20th. Of course, you cannot post multiple times by one person, duplicates will not count, and you cannot change the words OVO. Transformed into a comic book artist. Author, Miao by Shen Wu. Chapter 198. When Susienner and Lin Jingshu returned home, Susienner first gave Lin Jingshu a lesson. Of course, don't think wrongly, she is not that evil, it's just a daily communication between girls. Jingshu, I doubt your motives for betraying me every time. Just when Susiener was about to go out and make trouble on Weibo, she suddenly came to her senses, crossed her arms, looked at Lin Jingshu with suspicion and said, "Are you addicted to the pleasure of being communicated with, so you report me every time and finally get punished by me?" "What nonsense are you talking about?" Lin Jingshu was so angry when she heard it. "Then you don't resist. Will resistance be useful? So you start to enjoy it?" Susiener laughed out loud, making Lin Jingshu's little face redder. When the other party was about to get angry and hit her with a pillow, Susiener quickly retreated. After returning to her room, Susiener logged into QQ and shouted directly in the art group, "I have something to do, RBQS, come out, I'm going to open a new comic." Really? I want to sign up. Miobi teacher, add me, add me. Sign up. Are you going to open a new book or an orthodox comic? Please give me a spot. Miobi teacher, I'm working for free, no charge, please take a look at me. As soon as Susiener appeared, the online artists expressed their desire to participate in her new comic. Although the signature will not be added, as long as you find a job in the future, saying that you have participated in the creation of Susiener's comics is more shocking than a resume. Now Susiener's fame in the act circle is as big as the sky, just like Asada Sayori in the music circle. If Susiener wants to find a comic assistant, she can definitely find a reinforcement company. Even people in the Xianya group want to learn from Susiener, and have expressed their desire to be her comic assistant more than once or twice. You have to know that these are experienced old cartoonists. Even they want to be Susiener's real students. You can imagine how Susiener's current status is. The princess of the comic world is not just talk. Many people want to learn from her. Unfortunately, Susiener doesn't want to open a comic studio. She thinks that having the Miobi studio is enough. This time I'm going to draw an orthodox comic, which is considered a new comic, with a food theme. As soon as Susiener's words appeared in the group, the atmosphere was cold in an instant. Of course, it's not that the artists have any bad impressions of the food theme, nor do they doubt Susiener's strength and popularity. Now Susiener is already the supreme existence in the act circle. The animated version of Book of Life and Death had over 100 million hits on the first day of B Station, becoming the second video to have over 100 million hits. It is said that Chen Rui, chairman of B Station, almost fainted and was hospitalized due to excitement. The first one was Sakura Sakura Wants to See You, sung by Susiener, which has been dominating the B Station video hit list and has reached 500 million hits. It is a terrifying existence. Tens of thousands of people listen to it online at the same time every day, and they even said that they must push this video to 10 billion hits. Especially when Asada Sayori covered this song, it brought a group of fans to Susiener. So even if Susiener draws any comics, it will be popular now. The reason why they are cold is because they thought Susiener would find a popular theme, but they didn't expect to find a niche. Meow by teacher, I think you should take advantage of the victory to consolidate your position as a god, so drawing some popular comics may be more appropriate. Yes, Meow by teacher, I think so too. The unpopularity of food themes is so unpopular that there is no such theme at all, which is why they persuaded Susiener. Seeing this, Susiener directly told the story of the Xianya group. What the hell? So shameless. People like this should be put on the shelf. Too humming dirty. The people in the art group were all furious, and no longer tried to persuade Susiener. Instead, they supported her move. Susiener then selected 20 artists in the group, and the others who were not selected were envious. Susiener then went to Weibo. She first recounted the story of the Xianya concentration camp and put Xian, the cartoonist, on the shelf. Then the screenshot sent by Luoan was uploaded, and then there was a sentence, The new comic theme is food theme, specifically sniping the comic drawn by that friend. The new comic is called Food Wars. Soma. Please look forward to it. The comic has not started drawing yet. Fans who like it can go to Tencent Comics to collect it first. This comic will be full color. In the end, I will lead the charge. As soon as the Weibo was posted, it attracted countless fans to watch. And Asada Sayori, who has been following Susienur, directly forwarded this Weibo. In her opinion, this kind of people who plagiarize ideas are no different from some dark things in the music industry. It must be said that Susienur's every move is very eye-catching now. Since the release of the animated version of Book of Life and Death, her fans have been skyrocketing. After all, many people don't like the genre of comics. They prefer to watch animations with voice actors, pictures, and movements. So many people didn't know Myobi before, they just knew that there was a cartoonist named Myobi who was very awesome on the internet. In addition, the Animation Administration is now promoting Susienur intentionally or unintentionally, which has resulted in real media newspapers and even news always mentioning Susienur's wonderful writing when mentioning the developing ACK industry. This made many people very curious about Susienur, and they were even more astonished when they got to know her. Is Myobi teacher only 17 years old? And a senior high school student? And a beautiful girl? And she still draws books? Now other people draw books and are called erotic, but Susienur is called a cute and dirty girl when she draws books. Many cartoonists sigh that it is unfair. What about the equality between men and women? Drawing books has become the cute point of Susienur in the hearts of fans. I have to say, this makes many people laugh and cry. However, there is one thing that puzzles many people. Now Susienur's Weibo fans have exceeded 100 million after the broadcast of the animated version of Book of Life and Death, but no one knows what Susienur looks like. This puzzles many people. There are no secrets on the internet now, not to mention that Susienur has run to the headquarters of B Station and Tencent several times, and she will always be exposed, but there is no photo leaked. Susienur has always thought that she has kept it secret, and she is very proud and arrogant. In fact, she didn't know that this was Tencent, Bilibili, and the Animation Administration protecting her privacy. A lot of real information about Susienur was suppressed. After all, Susienur is only in her third year of high school and is still young. If she becomes famous at a young age, it will easily hurt Zhonyang. This is why the Animation Administration is trying to protect Susienur's privacy. The Animation Administration is at least one of the state machines, so it still has some power and authority. Once this Weibo was posted, it was forwarded by Sayori Asada, and then forwarded by Chen Xiao, and it was completely exposed in the circle in an instant. Myobi, shall we play together? I'm a Yasuo rogue. Is this Zion a beast? He even stole the subject matter. Damn, I've also seen that Food Paradise, but I didn't expect it to be plagiarized. Go and vote for it now. Myobi, when will your Suxian series be continued? There are only 3 chapters including the extras. Oh my god, don't let it go. Have you forgotten that your main job is to be a comic book artist? It's been several months since the anti-chapter, and it's not finished yet. I'm going to send you a razor blade. Damn, Myobi, you're a jerk. The comic only posted a name and the words "please look forward to it." I thought there was 1 chapter. Food theme, Foodie's eyes sparkle. Support, I just finished reading Book of Life and Death and couldn't find the teacher's new comics. I didn't expect it to be released soon. I'll collect it first. Color comics, it's not easy as a fresh stream in the comics industry. Is Myobi finally going to draw color comics? MMP, I thought I would never wait for this moment. As soon as this Weibo was posted, there were all kinds of reactions. Most of them were boycotting plagiarism, and many people felt that Myobi teacher was also going to draw color comics, and thought Myobi teacher had no guilt. Some people even said that they were almost used to black and white, and almost forgot that they lived in a world where comics were all in color. When Susienner saw the reminder of the Susien series, she couldn't help but blush. Because she really forgot about the Susien series. There's no way. Every day, I have to play games, watch videos, chat, eat and go to the toilet. Where is the time to draw comics and books? I'll count to see if there are 52 posts. Will there be 1 or 2 posts next? It's up to you. Please pass all the sentence breaks and punctuation changes. There are still 15 minutes left, my RBQS. OVO. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Transformed into a comic book artist. Author, Miao by Shen Wu. Chapter 199. What? You have collected 100,000 copies of The Spirit of the Halberd Eater. Zhao Jing came to the company early in the morning, but as soon as he sat down and took a drink of water, Luoyang came to the office to inform him of the news. Fortunately, because he was often stimulated by Susienner, this time he didn't choke or spit out, but swallowed it with difficulty, and then looked at Luoyang in disbelief. I remember that The Spirit of the Halberd Eater was approaching yesterday afternoon. It just opened in the evening, and Spirit of the Shock Halberd is just a comic title with the words "Stay tuned." It actually has 100,000 collections. Zhao Jing was indeed shocked by Susienner again. Yesterday, when Susienner said on Weibo that she would publish a new comic, Tencent Animation was completely confused. What is Susienner's status now? She is the supreme god of the ACK industry, and she is the only one. Who among the people in the ACK industry now has a Weibo following of over 100 million? Searched Can on Google. The most popular one is Zhang Xinran, who has 15 million followers on Weibo because of her last appearance on Pure Love, followed by Lu Qingyun, who has an attention of over 10 million, while Susienner beats them nearly 10 times. This is the terrifying thing about Susienner. In Zhao Jing's opinion, it is normal for Susienner to collect like crazy as long as she opens a comic book. But this will definitely not work, because he wants to create a record, so he hopes that Susienner will at least notify them before starting a new comic, so that they can promote it first, and then start a new comic. There will be at least a 1-week buffer period, right? As a result, Susienner started a new comic yesterday without even saying hello, which made Zhao Jing sigh but helpless. But he didn't expect that Susienner's comics would be collected by 100,000 in just one night. The content of the comic has not been revealed. If Susienner hadn't mentioned that it was a food-themed comic, and the name of the comic The Spirit of the Food Halberd, they would not have known what they were going to draw. Regarding the food theme, Zhao Jing has no fluctuations. If other well-known cartoonists want to touch on this kind of subject matter, if Zhao Jing knows about it, he will ask his editor to persuade him. If he can't persuade him, he will leave it alone. But as for Susienner, as long as the other party can continue to draw, Zhao Jing will not care about it at all. Because Susienner's reputation is there, now it can be said that no matter what she draws, she will not be criticized by the public. I am talking about Susienner. Of course, if the painting is really unsatisfactory, her reputation will still be damaged. However, they are more confident in Susienner than themselves. Seeing Zhao Jing's surprise, Luoyang smiled and said, "It's not like you don't know the purpose of Teacher Miaobi writing this food-themed book. It's everyone's responsibility to fight against plagiarism. That cartoonist is also smart. Instead of drawing on our website, he went to someone else's. The evil spirits are gone. There is evil spirit." Zhao Jing chuckled. Now Tencent Animation has completely become the #1 brother in the ACK circle. If there is evil spirit, it can only be said that Zhang Xinran, the master of pure love, is still alive. However, he believes that if the Your Name animated movie comes out, it will have a very evil influence, even if it is doomed, but its influence will be very low. Okay, let the data department record and see how much Teacher Myobi's collection is in 24 hours. If it can reach 200,000, we will put up a banner on the website to promote it and let everyone see the current influence of Teacher Myobi. Zhao Jing thought for a while and said directly, Susianer can do whatever she wants now, as long as she doesn't poison herself in the comics, he won't interfere. And with Susianer, the supreme god, sitting in charge of Tencent Animation, Zhao Jing felt that it was time to start training other cartoonists. After all, any industry only sees the mainstay and fresh blood, and there will always be only a few supreme ones. By the way, Teacher Myobi still won't re-sign with us. Speaking of this, Zhao Jing got a headache. If people knew that Susianer signed an ordinary contract with Tencent Animation, there would probably be countless people poaching, but Zhao Jing can't help it, because Susianer won't do it, the other party just won't change the contract. Can he still force it? Can't. Hearing this, Luoyang looked strange and said, we asked Teacher Myobi, and she said she had re-signed the contract. How could she threaten us with job hopping? This is the reason why she has not changed the contract. According to Susianer's idea, you cannot be bound by a contract. When the time comes, you can stop painting if you don't want to, retreat if you want to, and threaten if you want. Isn't this flattering? Puff. Did she really say that? Zhao Jing couldn't catch his breath, all he wanted to say was MMP. Luoyang nodded helplessly, and then joked, how about, do you want to ban Teacher Myobi? Haha. Zhao Jing rolled his eyes, believe it or not, the animation administration banned us the moment we were banned. Both of them knew very well that Susianer's influence now was no joke. Zhao Jing believes that as long as Tencent Animation dares to do this, Tencent Animation will die. Susianer can now be called a teacher in the comics industry and a benefactor to all cartoonists. In the ACT circle, there are people like Asada Sayori and Chen Xiao, and there are all the kings and queens in the entertainment industry, but there is only one master in the ACT circle, and the influence of the master is unparalleled in the ACT circle. Which group in the entertainment industry has banned kings and queens? It's not that they don't dare to block it, but because they know that blocking it will be useless. Every king and queen has a huge network of people gathered around them. If your group blocks them, the worst case scenario is that they will just change jobs. By banning Susianer, maybe you haven't lived enough yet, right? And Zhao Jing guessed that Chen Rui wanted to see this happen. Even though Chen Rui acted like a good gentleman in front of Susianer every day, he was very unkind in the mall. If they ban Susianer, Zhao Jing dares to believe that Station B will set up a comic website. When Susianer moves in, it will be the time when the comic website of Station B will rise. A large number of cartoonists are switching jobs to Station B. This is what Zhao Jing can foresee. Rubbing his forehead, Zhao Jing sighed and said, let's do this for now, there's no rush. Anyway, as long as we don't go too far, Teacher Myobi won't change jobs at will. Luoyang casually joked that he would block Susianer out of his wits. After thinking for a while, he continued, several groups have approached us to negotiate the film and TV series rights for Book of Life and Death. Take a look. When will we meet with their manager? Book of Life and Death is a big IP, and many film and television groups are very envious of it, because it is almost a TV series and movie that they can't catch. According to statistics from Tencent Animation, Book of Life and Death has nearly 670 million fan groups across the country. From middle-aged to junior high school students, they all like Book of Life and Death very much. This can be seen from the fact that the first broadcast on Station B has more than 100 million clicks. This fan base is undoubtedly extremely large and terrifying. This is the reason why Station B is an unknown small station. If it were premiered on Tencent Video, not to mention hundreds of millions, 200 million would definitely be appropriate. Let's have a good talk today. The IP of Book of Life and Death cannot be compromised. Hearing this, Zhao Jing said cautiously, make an appointment. Okay. 2 days later, Susianer opened the door and blinked when she saw Zhou Qinjia standing outside. Teacher, today is the weekend, right? What do you want? Zhou Qinjia smiled slightly and said, of course I will take you to the hot springs in Suzhou to enjoy the cherry blossoms. You say no, but your body is very honest. Satisfied, there will be a third update soon. Transformed into a comic book artist. Author, Miao by Shen Wu. Chapter 200. Chapter 196. Hurry, 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 I'm ready to go to the hot springs. Of course I will take you to Suzhou to soak in the hot springs and enjoy the cherry blossoms. Looking at Zhou Qinjia with a warm smile in front of her, Susianer was stunned, and then, bang! A door slamming sounded immediately. Smelly girl, don't you want to live anymore? Please open the door for me. As soon as the door closed, 2 seconds later, Zhou Qinjia's angry voice and the knocking on the door were heard. Susianer dialed the property management number with an expressionless face. Is it the property management? There is a pervert at my door, can you do me a favor and help her get rid of her? I just agreed because the other party pretended to be an imposter and used the name of my class teacher to deceive me. Who thought it was a stranger? There is no need to call the police, just drive away. The sound insulation at the door was not strong, so Zhou Qinjia could completely hear Susianer's voice. For a moment, Zhou Qinjia was so angry that her liver ached. You stinky girl, I usually treat you so well, and you actually asked the property management company to drive me away. Just now, she wanted to use the electronic lock password to enter directly, but she found that the password was wrong. It seemed that Susianer had changed the password. Susianer pretended to be stupid. My teacher will not come to my house at this time of the weekend. You must be a fake teacher. Zhou Qinjia vomited blood. Finally, she was safely delivered to the gate of the community by the security guards who came quickly. If she hadn't seen Zhou Qinjia several times and knew she was not a bad person, the security guards might have called the police. When the breeze blew, standing outside the gate of the community, Zhou Qinjia laughed angrily. Teacher, why are you here? At this moment, a familiar voice came from behind. Zhou Qinjia turned around and saw Lin Jingshu, who had just returned from shopping for groceries. 5 minutes later. Teacher, I was wrong, I didn't dare anymore, I was really wrong, ugh, I really didn't dare anymore, please let me go. Susianer's delicate little face was kneaded, and she was picked up by Zhou Qinjia, her pants were pulled off, and then she was spanked. The pain made Susianer burst into tears. She felt an extreme humiliation, but yet had to beg for mercy. Lin Jingshu, who was on the side, looked on shivering, very embarrassed. Are you going to the Mathematical Olympiad exchange meeting? Zhou Qinjia stopped his movements. When Susianer heard this, she quickly shook her head and said, I'm not going, I want to draw comics. Teacher, I told you before that I don't have time. The cycle of drawing comics is so long, and, do you think I don't know that you draw comics and throw them to the studio? I heard about it from Chen Shui. Zhou Qinjia sneered, and I have already told your aunt yes, she asked me to fill it out directly for you, even if you don't want to go. Mom sells batches. Yeah, yucking scam, I've already paid off the money for the other party, and now he's harming her. She had never completed the Ant chapter of the Susian series before because she was afraid that she would be beaten to death when she went to Yanjing. After all, Zhou Qinjia knew the pen name of her wonderful pen, and it was impossible for her aunt not to know it. This is the reason why she hasn't drawn the Ant chapter for so long. Ahem, of course forgetting is part of it, and it seems that she must take revenge. And Zhou Qinjia, originally the fourth part, was going to use that Su Ying, and have an idle chapter. There's no need for that now. After the Ants chapter, there's the Teacher's chapter. She's going to take revenge. Of course, This is something that will happen later, and now we are trying to find a way to refuse. If she went, then why did she open Spirit of the Shock Halberd? I didn't go to Sujo, that's why I painted the Spirit of the Halberd Eater. Now that I've gone, wouldn't I be digging a hole for myself? If she had agreed to go to Sujo, she would not have painted the Spirit of the Halberd Eater. I won't go. I'm so cute, I will definitely be unspoken by those old professors. When Jokinja heard this, she was stunned for a moment, then burst out laughing and patted Susiener's butt lightly. What are you thinking about, little guy? This mathematical Olympiad exchange meeting is all for women. There are no men. Although this is organized by the Ministry of Education of Suzhou Province in conjunction with Magic City, it was proposed by an old professor from Suzhou University who is about to retire, and Qingyuan Hot Spring has been booked, and there will be no men at that time. Of course, there was one thing Jokinja didn't say. The old professor's son was the director of the Jiangsu Provincial Education Bureau, so he held such a mathematical Olympiad exchange meeting just to let his mother enjoy the trip. What? Are all the girls going? Susiener was dumbfounded, and then said angrily, why didn't you tell me about such an important matter earlier, teacher? She thought it was male and female students going to the hot spring together, who knows if those men would peek while soaking in the hot spring. The thought of this made her feel cold. After all, she is so pretty and cute, so it's better not to go out. If Jokinja knew what Susiener was thinking, she would probably twitch her lips and ask Susiener, is this why you are a dead otaku? If you don't tell me, how do I know that this is what you are worried about? Jokinja rolled her eyes, go or not? Susiener was simply messy, but when Jokinja asked, she said confidently, go, why not go? The Mathematical Olympiad exchange meeting is a great opportunity for me to further improve my mathematical knowledge. If I didn't go before, I wouldn't have the time. But my Spirit of the Halberd has not been released yet, so delaying it for another 3 days and 2 nights is not a problem at all. Lin Jingshu next to her wanted to complain. She knew that Susiener must have known that they were all girls, and then decided to go. Susiener, a little pervert, has been living with the other party for almost a year, and she has long known the other party's character. That's right, Susiener just wanted to go to the hot springs with those pure high school girls and enjoy the feeling of a nude feast. Hot springs. They are all girls, it would be a big loss if I don't go. Well, let's pack up and go. Oh, so soon? Susiener was stunned. Leave now. Yes, Jokinja originally came to take Susiener away directly. She was afraid that if she told the other party, something would happen, so she rushed. Thinking of this, she looked at the time and said, the high-speed train is at 3 p.m., we still have time to pick up Yunlin. Yunlin, such a familiar name. 5 kilograms, Susiener suddenly realized that she was about to bleed from her nose the next moment. If Yunlin also went, then when she was taking a hot spring bath, could she really bury her chest? Or when she was taking a hot spring bath, she could lie directly in the other party's arms and enjoy the touch of those 5 kilograms. Of course, 5 kilograms was just her illusion, but those breasts were really huge. Seeing Susiener's excited face flushed and her breathing quickened, Lin Jingshu sighed and shook her head. This guy is hopeless, but she was also curious, isn't Yunlin a senior? Why is she going? She is an art student. She originally decided to go because her grades in the second year of high school were not good. Who knew that this little guy's tutoring was more effective than the teacher's class? Jokinja laughed. Now her score is basically safe for her to go to a key university. In addition, I see that Yunlin seems to be getting more and more nervous as she approaches the college entrance examination. I am afraid that she will fail the college entrance examination, so I suggested to the school that she come to the hot spring together to relax. Let's go, I'm ready. Susiener came out of the room with an excited face, holding a small bag in her hand with 1 or 2 sets of clothes in it, and urged directly. The impatient look made Zhou Qinjia and Lin Jingshu speechless. The third update is completed. Transformed into a comic book artist. Author, Miao by Shen Wu. Chapter 201. Qingyuan Hot Spring, Suzhou, Jiangsu Province. Qingyuan Hot Spring is a Japanese-style hot spring hotel. It is not very big but not small. It is full of cherry trees, so it is very famous in the local area. From March to May every year, many people make reservations in advance because the hotel is small, and then rush to enjoy the cherry blossoms. Soaking in the hot spring comfortably, sometimes there will be cherry blossom petals with fragrance falling. The leisurely atmosphere can make people very relaxed. It is already May, and there is still nearly a month before the college entrance examination, and the cherry blossoms are about to wither. Only the late cherry blossoms are still in full bloom, but this is also the last batch of cherry blossoms. If you want to continue to enjoy the cherry blossoms after May, you have to wait another year. Inside the hot spring hotel, on the second floor, a middle-aged woman with a soft face, wearing a plain yukata, listened to the crackling sound of the keyboard in the room, gently knocked on the door, and said in a worried tone, "Ji Ying, a tour group has booked the hotel today, and Mom may be too busy. Can you come down to help?" "Don't worry, the tour group is all women, no men. Remember the domain name of the site Taiwan Novel Network rightward arrow." The keyboard sound in the room disappeared, and after a while, a voice came, "I know." Shianosaki breathed a sigh of relief after hearing this, and then said cautiously, "Then, there is still a month before the college entrance examination. The teacher called me yesterday and started to urge me. Do you want to take the college entrance examination?" "I won't go to college this time." Her voice was a little cold, and even disgusted. "I will never go to college in my life." Okay, don't be angry." Shianosaki sighed with pity. Her daughter's fear of men was obviously not cured. She was gentle and couldn't be tough, so she could only nag a few words every day. But, does her daughter have to stay in the room all the time? Shianosaki was worried, but there was nothing she could do. In the room, Shianayui frowned, and when she saw her mother's footsteps gradually faded, she looked at the typing software on the computer screen and prepared to continue working. Since the hateful father was hit and killed, she was liberated, but she began to fear boys. As long as there were boys around her, she felt uncomfortable all over. If she touched them, she would feel disgusted and suffocated. She also knew that she couldn't go on like this, but she didn't think of going to a psychologist at all. So she stayed at home and didn't go to school. But she felt that she didn't need to go to school at all, because she was capable of being self-reliant. Thinking about it, Shianayui Sakura opened her fan group. "By the way, Mr. Mashiro hasn't updated yet. I can't wait to continue reading the following plot. MMP, Mr. Mashiro's plot is so attractive that I want to skip the erotic paragraphs. I feel that Mr. Mashiro's control over words can be compared with Mr. Miyobi's comics. When will Mr. Mashiro find Mr. Miyobi to cooperate and adapt Mr. Mashiro's novels into comics? Speaking of this, will Mr. Mashiro not write fan fiction about Sujug? The idea above is very dangerous. I think it is necessary to give you a 10 circle, and Sujug's secondary creation rights are only music. This copyright cannot be released. Be careful of being slaughtered by the knights." After peeking at the screen for a while, Shianayui Sakura closed it. She didn't know Miyobi, but Shianayui Sakura had seen the books drawn by the other party, which were really amazing, especially the plot without any story and logic, which inspired her a lot. The most important thing is that family affairs amazed her. She didn't expect there were so many ways to play. As an erotic novelist, she has been learning from Miyobi's book since it appeared. However, after a little research, she found that novels are different from comics, and plots are still needed. Especially since she is a long erotic novelist, the plot needs to be more reasonable and logical, so that readers can feel more involved. Of course, my mother didn't know that she was still writing, because this identity is really hard to say. How can a girl write erotic novels? Ji Ying, the guests will arrive in half an hour. Make preparations. Just as Ji Ying was thinking and preparing to continue writing, her mother's voice came from outside again. After a pause, Ji Ying responded, "I know." Looking at the unfinished manuscript, Ji Ying did not continue to write, but stood up, changed into a yukata, and went downstairs to help. Ji Ying rarely helped. Since they are a family hot spring hotel, most of the people who come to the hot spring are families, both men and women. As she is afraid of men, she doesn't like children or adults, so she won't come out to help. But today, according to what her mother said, all the people who came were women, so she would naturally come out to help. "Help me change the bedding in the room to new ones." Shinosaki pointed to the room in the corridor. Since it was a Japanese-style hot spring hotel, the room was all tatami. "Okay." After working for 15 minutes, Shinosaki received a call and smiled gently, "Okay, I got it. When people arrive, remember to smile." "Got it?" In just a few minutes, Shion Sakura heard the chirping and playful sounds outside the door coming into the door, and Shinosaki had already opened the door to greet them. Seeing this, Shion Sakura followed closely, and then thought of her mother's words, and couldn't help rubbing her face slightly, and a faint smile appeared on her cold face. "Hello, I'm Joe Kinja, who I booked with you." "Miss Joe, welcome, the room has been arranged for you." Shinosaki smiled gently, looked at the silver-haired old lady behind and said quickly, "Go in and have a rest first, give me the things." "Come on, let me get it for you, Yui Ying, you can also carry it." "Okay." Shion Sakura raised her head slightly at this time and looked forward, only to realize that there were actually quite a lot of people. At a glance, there were about a dozen girls, several adults, and an old lady. This combination made her curious, but she didn't ask any more questions, but went up to help carry the things. However, when these teachers saw a girl coming over, most of them smiled and said it was okay. "Yun Lan, I'm motion sick, so I want to bury my chest in my chest to comfort him." When passing by a girl, Shion Sakura heard a voice and couldn't help but look curiously. She saw an extremely petite girl holding a girl in her arms and sinking her little head into the girl's chest. So big." "Yui Sakura." Shiona couldn't help but exclaimed softly when she saw Yun Ian's turbulent waves. In fact, she had never seen anyone that big in reality. Fortunately, her voice was very low, and there was no one around. Here. Yun Lan had had enough of Susiener's harassment along the way, and she was used to it now since she was shy and awkward. Anyway, Susiener would attack the turbulent waves on her chest whenever she got the chance. "Sue, classmate Sue, we have arrived at the hot spring hotel. You can rest right away." After riding the bus for nearly an hour, not only Susiener felt a little dizzy, but Yun Lan also felt carsick. "I want to sleep first." Susiener reluctantly left her chest. As soon as she finished speaking, she saw a beautiful girl in a bathrobe standing next to her. "Who are you?" Listening to the question, Yui Sakura Shiona did not answer, but stared at the other party, which made Susiener feel a little bit hairy. A strange feeling arose from her heart, making Shiona Yuying stare at Susiener's delicate and cute little face. Her breathing became a little short. Hello, give it to me, I'll get it for you. I have to go out, so the next update may be very late, but there will definitely be 4 updates tonight. OVO. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Transformed into a comic book artist. Author, Miao by Shen Wu. Chapter 202. Susiener was horrified by the sight of Yui Sakura Shiona in front of her, Seeing that the other party was breathing rapidly, he must have some kind of mental illness, right? Hey. He handed the luggage to the other party. After seeing the other party take it, the two of them accidentally touched their fingers. The delicate and cold touch made Xiana Yuing's body shake, and Susianer was a little confused. Are you feeling unwell? Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow. Her face was red, her eyes were almost watering. If she hadn't been a girl and the same sex as the other person, she would have thought that the other person was having sex. Does this girl have any physical condition? But, Susianer looked at the other person up and down and found that the other person was really beautiful. Different from Susianer's impression of the soft and gentle tribesman, the girl in a yukata in front of her was rather tall, about 1.7 meters tall if she read it correctly. Although the face looks a little pale, the crystal clear skin makes the other person look exquisite and exquisite, but the overall look is a bit cold. If the other person does not show an expression, he must be very cold. However, a slight smile appeared at the corner of the other person's mouth, which greatly increased his charm. Against the background of the yukata, her figure looks graceful, and she wears wooden clogs under her feet, giving her a strong sense of Japanese style, making the other person feel like a Yamato Nadeshiko. It's just that the shortness of breath now shows that there is something wrong with the body. No. It's okay. Xiana Yuing lowered her head. She knew that she must be feeling strange now, but she couldn't stop the strange feeling in her heart. She even wanted to hug him tightly just for a moment. In my arms, I hugged her tightly and never let go. This is a very strange idea, and in her opinion, it is a morbid idea. This was a feeling that had never happened before, it made her feel a little scared. What was going on? Carrying Susianer's small bag, Xiana Yuing's head was a little numb and very messy. Just when her mind was in a mess, she lowered her head and suddenly saw the small bag in her hand. Are the girl's clothes inside? I really want to pick it up, smell. As soon as this thought came to mind, Yui Sakura Xiana herself was shocked. Why was she so perverted? In an instant, Yui Sakura Xiana thought of her profession. Is it because she writes too many erotic novels that she is like this? Yu Sakura, what's wrong? Hurry in and prepare to register the guest's name. Xiana Zayaji saw her daughter carrying the guest's bag in a daze, and she couldn't help but frown slightly and urged slightly. Okay. Awakened by her mother's voice, Yui Sakura Xiana hurriedly carried the small bag and entered the door. Seeing this, Susianer from behind was a little confused, but she didn't think about it deeply. She guessed that the other party had either a cold or a fever. As soon as Xiana Yuing entered the door and was far away from Susianer, her mood suddenly calmed down. However, just carrying the other person's bag, the desire did not subside. There is even a numb and itchy feeling in my heart. It's obviously the first time we meet, why is this happening to me? Trying hard to resist the perverted thought of smelling Susianer's clothes, she put the other party's luggage aside, and then followed her mother's instructions to pick up the registration book and register the names of the guests one by one. Slowly registering the names of the guests, Xiana Yuing suddenly smelled a fresh fragrance. She raised her head slightly and saw Susianer staring at her. She couldn't help but take a step back in fright. Seeing this, Susianer was speechless, but she still said, Susianer, this is my name, help me register it. By the way, where can I get my yukata? Okay, it turned out that it was just a name registration. Xiana Yuing was a little disappointed, thinking that Susianer was here to find her. However, the name Susianer is really nice. Because they were separated from the service desk and not as close as they were just now, although Yui Sakura Xiana was very nervous, she didn't react as exaggeratedly as before. It's just that, as time went by, Yui Sakura Xiana couldn't bear it anymore, she really wanted to touch the other person, she just wanted to touch him. So, with this idea in mind, Yui Sakura Shiina helped Susienner choose a yukata. When handing it to Susienner, her fingers touched Susienner's fingers again, intentionally or unintentionally. The cold and delicate touch came again, and a sense of satisfaction from the depths of my heart to my entire body. It would be nice if I could hold hands again. It is impossible to satisfy human desires. Unfortunately, Susienner took her yukata and ran to the room to rest, intending to take a nap before getting up to eat and soak in the hot spring. And Yui Sakura Shiina could only watch helplessly, helpless. "You Sakura, what's wrong with you today? Are you sick?" After arranging the room for Jokinja and the others, Shiina Saki came to the service desk and looked at the absent-minded Yui Sakura Shiina and asked worriedly. I feel a little uncomfortable." Yui Sakura Shiina obviously didn't want anyone to know her condition. "Then you go upstairs and have a rest. Most of the guests have rested. I may need your help at night." Shiina Saki actually didn't want her daughter to do things, but the two waiters had asked for leave, so she had no choice. "Okay." Yui Sakura Shiina did not refuse, but quickly returned to her second floor. Then she turned on her computer and opened the Baidu page. Yes, she was very strange about her situation just now, as if a hand deep inside controlled her mind and body. He seemed to be a drug addict, and Susienner was the drug, always attracting him. This abnormal situation made her panic, so she wanted to understand what was going on, but she found nothing after searching on Baidu. So Shiina Yui Sakura recounted her situation with a slight modification, and then asked a question, waiting for the insider to answer. After asking the question, Shiina Yui Sakura refreshed it several times. Seeing that no one answered, she wanted to continue typing, but she couldn't write anything. Susienner's figure kept appearing in her mind, so she refreshed the web page again, and this time someone answered. "Nude. According to your retelling, you should have met your true love, so seize the opportunity." The answerer obviously saw it and said it casually, but Shiina Yui Sakura's eyes flashed with anger, and she typed, "I'm not an nympho. Nude. Isn't it the kind of lustful female pervert? How could she be such a woman? Although there are such people in her characters, she herself is not such a person." And Shiina Yui Sakura's rebuttal was quickly responded by the other party. Obviously, the answerer was also online. "Sorry, maybe I didn't explain it in detail. But the word nympho is a compliment. After all, there are many kinds of nymphos. According to your retelling, you haven't encountered this kind of situation before, but you had this kind of situation when you saw that person today, and even had those slightly perverted thoughts. This is actually a kind of love at first sight, but your love at first sight is different from others, but your retelling is a little vague. If you can, please explain it in detail? I can help you analyze it." Love at first sight? Shiina Yui Sakura covered her face, her eyes were full of disbelief. Second update. Transformed into a comic book artist. Author, Miao by Shen Wu. Chapter 203. Chapter 199. Bathing together, that should be the happiest thing, right? Love at first sight? I am a woman, how could I fall in love with a woman at first sight? Although Yui Sakura Shiina knows that she has androphobia, she is not Lily. She knew her sexual orientation very clearly. It was not like she had never seen women or beauties. How could it be Lily? I had no such symptoms before. Therefore, Yui Sakura Shiina believes that she may be alone in her life. But, when she saw Susienner today, her heart was completely confused, and she was suddenly attracted to Susienner. Thinking of this, Yui Sakura Shiina hesitated after seeing the respondent's words, and typed, "Today is the first day I saw that person, and when I saw him, I started breathing a little faster, and I felt like I wanted to touch him. I still feel suffocated and dizzy when I'm close, but as long as I don't see the other person, this feeling will fade away, but there is a feeling in my heart that I want to meet and touch the other person, and I feel that my desire is increasing. I don't want to just touch the other person, but also want to have physical contact with the other person. It's not about sex, I just want to hold her. Lin Yun, who was far away in Yanjing, was a little stunned when she saw the word she, but after thinking about it, maybe the other party made a typo. After all, the other party revealed that she was a woman. After carefully reading Yui Sakura Shiena's words, Lin Yun thought for a while and said, I feel that the information you disclosed is a bit incomplete, maybe you are hiding something. But according to your current retelling, you should be awakening. This statement is a bit suanhu. According to what I said before, you fell in love at first sight. You didn't have feelings for other people before, just because you didn't meet the right person. Of course, there are probably other reasons for your awakening. Let me ask you a question first. Is he very handsome? He's a very good-looking little one. I really want to take care of him. This vague answer made Lin Yun almost spit out her mouth. But she also knew that the person she was chatting with had very low online trust, so she didn't say much, but said bluntly, that seems to be the other person's appearance. What made you suddenly awaken? But are you a disciple? Xiao Xiao, how young is he? About 1.5 meters tall, very cute. Lin Yun suddenly felt something was wrong. How old is he? 17 years old, already an adult. Didn't you just say you met him for the first time? How come you even know his age? Lin Yun sighed, you still concealed a lot of information. If you don't tell me the information, it will be difficult for me to analyze it for you. I see that you have been hiding it on purpose. It should be because the internet makes you feel insecure. How about we chat privately with Penguin? After saying this, Xiana Yueying didn't respond for a long time. Just when Lin Yun thought that the other party had given up consulting with her, she suddenly received a message. Are you a woman? Yes, my name is Lin Yun. I am a psychological counselor at the Huaxia Conservatory of Music. You can search my name on Baidu. If you trust me, add me as Penguin 333594744XX. The answer to the question is feather. Seeing this, Yui Sakura Shiana didn't say anything, but Baidu searched Lin Yun, and then found the other party's information. What came into view was a mature woman with a soft complexion. Although she could not be called beautiful, her gentle temperament, like bathing in the spring breeze, was very attractive. Lin Yun, PhD in psychology, famous psychological counselor. After looking at several key pieces of information, Yui Sakura Shiana was still wary, but she honestly added the other person's penguin, and then deleted her question. Hello, I'm sorry for doubting you just now. It's okay. Lin Yun smiled and said, if you don't trust me, we can video chat. No need. Although Mashiro Shiana is a homebody, her emotional intelligence is not negative. If she really wants to verify her gender via video, that would be disrespectful to others. Can you tell me some important information? Lin Yun said, I am very interested in your situation. As a psychological counselor at the university, Lin Yun is actually quite boring, but she likes this kind of leisurely life, so it's quite comfortable. But there are so many psychological problems in college. Most of the people who come to consult are not psychological problems, so Lin Yun likes to help people consult online to relieve her boredom and fragmented time. Xiana Yueying hesitated for a while, feeling that she really shouldn't hide too much information. After thinking about it, she gritted her teeth and said, actually, that person is a girl. The reason why I know her age and name is because my family runs a hot spring hotel. Yes, I just registered him. Lin Yun was stunned for a moment when she received this message. It took her a while to react and asked, are you a girl too? That's right. Yui Sakura Shiana said distressedly, that's why I'm a little strange as to why I'm like this. Unexpectedly, it turned out to be Lily. Lin Yun was a little shocked, but also a little relieved. She thought the other person was a perverted Shotokan. After all, the boy who was 1.5 meters tall and still 17 years old was just a Shota. But, it's Lily, which is a bit tricky. Lin Yun thought for a moment and said, do you hope you can get psychological treatment? Yes. Xiana Yuing naturally didn't want to fall into this mood every day. The best way is to find a boy to date and experience the feeling of love. Since it was online, Lin Yun didn't have any good ideas. I have androphobia. Lin Yuning choked. It seems that there is a reason why you fall in love with a girl at first sight. Before, she was still wondering, how could a girl suddenly fall in love with another girl at first sight? After all, Shianayui Sakura also said that she had met many girls before, but she didn't have this feeling. Now, it made her suddenly realize. Teacher, is there no way to treat it? It's not that there is no way, it's very difficult. Lin Yun sighed slightly, and after your retelling just now, it should be a state of sudden awakening. The situation is more violent and sudden, just like what you said yourself. You feel suffocated and dizzy when you get close to her, and you really want to hug her. In your case, you should have a more serious fear of men, so when you meet a cute girl, you suddenly fall in love at first sight. You didn't awaken before. It should be that the girls before were not cute enough. You should be a more picky person with good looks. And your current situation is not good. She is a guest, which means she will leave sooner or later. How can you endure the torment in your heart at that time? If I think correctly, you are in your heart now. I think she really wants to see her, touch her, and even hug her. But I suggest you hold back. If you really can't help it, don't have too much intimate contact. You must hold back, and then talk. As a girl, you should be able to ask for contact information. As long as she leaves, you can use mobile phones, Penguin, WeChat, etc. to chat online to relieve the treatment. In the afternoon, Shianayui Sakura and Lin Yun talked a lot. At 6 o'clock in the evening, Shianasaki knocked on the door. Yui Sakura, the guests are going to bathe, do you want to join? In the afternoon, Shianasaki has learned that these people are professors, teachers, and students, so she hopes that her daughter can get to know those girls and make friends. But even though she asked, she knew that her daughter would probably refuse. I'll go. An excited and anxious voice came from the door, which startled Shianasaki and let Shianayui Sakura know, even if Lin Yun talked to her a lot in the afternoon and asked her to restrain herself. But when this situation occurs, how can she restrain herself? When she thought about bathing with Susienur, Shianayui Sakura couldn't stand steadily and her whole body trembled. She wanted to bathe with Susienur, and it would be best if they could hug each other closely. That should be the happiest thing, right? The third update. Transformed into a comic book artist. Author, Miao by Shen Wu. Chapter 204. No. You can't go. Just after Shianayui responded to her mother's invitation, a soft but urgent voice came from the computer. They got familiar with each other in the afternoon and started voice chatting. Fortunately, Shianasaki had left, otherwise she would definitely ask who it was. Teacher Lin, can you help me chase her? Shianayui did not respond to Lin Yun's stop, but spoke directly. Help you chase a girl? Lin Yun vomited blood. I'm not a relationship counselor, but she could feel the excitement in Shianayui's tone. It was obvious that she was very excited to take a bath with the girl she fell in love with at first sight. In this state, I guess she won't listen to anything she says. Unexpectedly, after talking for an afternoon, I thought the other party would listen to my advice, but a bath together instantly disintegrated her psychological counseling and work for an afternoon. After calming down, Lin Yun asked softly, Ji Ying, can you tell me about your state and emotions? How do you feel now? Feeling, Shiana Ji Ying felt that her whole body was not hers. Every cell in her body seemed to be shouting in her mind to go and take a bath with Susienur. She wanted to touch every part of Susienur's skin, and she would be addicted to every word she said. Even as long as Susienner was there and she could breathe the air that she had breathed, she would have a sense of happiness from the bottom of her heart. This is very perverted, she knew it, but she just couldn't restrain herself. When Xiana Jiying talked about her feelings, Lin Yun was stunned. She didn't expect the other party to be so serious, then she suddenly realized that her face was a little regretful. This was entirely because the other party didn't meet the girl named Susienner all afternoon. This made the other party feel that it had been accumulated for too long and too strong. Now when she thought about taking a bath with that girl, the accumulated feelings in her heart surged like a flood. So, Jiying, you bathe with the other person, but you must stay away and just watch. You can't fail at this time. The other person is just a guest. She will leave sooner or later. What will you do then? Lin Yun said worriedly, you are not familiar with each other. You just met. She doesn't even know your name. According to what I said, keep a slight distance from each other in these 3 days and 2 nights, make friends with each other, and it is best to get the contact information, so that you can keep in touch and enhance your relationship in the future. I know, Teacher Lin, Xiana Jiying responded. However, listening to the voice, Lin Yun smiled bitterly. She didn't know whether the other person heard what she said. After saying goodbye to Lin Yun, Xiana Jiying came to the first floor. According to her mother, the other person should have arrived at the open-air bath, right? Qingyuan Hot Spring is divided into men's bath, women's bath, family bath, and open-air bath. The open-air bath is different from other baths. You can enjoy the scenery during the day and the moonlight at night. It is the most popular bath. Arriving at the dressing room of the open-air bath, Shianayui Sakura quickly took off her clothes, then wrapped herself in a white towel and headed for the open-air bath. As soon as she entered the bath, a breeze came and blew away the mist covering the hot spring. The coexistence of breeze and heat gave Shianayui Sakura a warm feeling, but looking at the large hot spring pool, there was no one. Just when she was curious, a chirping sound came from behind her. I slept for an afternoon and I'm completely refreshed. I'm finally going to enjoy the hot spring. After enjoying it, after dinner, I have to take the Olympiad test. It's okay, haha, anyway, I think I'm here to have fun this time. Yunlin, can I lie on your chest and soak in the hot spring later? Student Su. There were many voices, but Shianayui Sakura clearly recognized Susienner's voice. Student Su, bath towel, bath towel. Why do you need a bath towel for a hot spring? Don't wear one. No, no. Student Su, please let me go. I promise you can lean on me to bathe in the hot spring, but I must wear a bath towel. Okay. Susienner took off her clothes and went directly into the hot spring barefoot. In her opinion, she would have to take them off later anyway, so why would she wear a bath towel? In this way, under the extremely shameful gaze of others, Susienner went in naked and very refreshingly. As soon as she came in, Susienner was startled, and then thought hard, you are. Suddenly, she clapped her fists and said, I don't even know your name. As soon as she finished speaking, she saw the tall girl in front of her, her legs and feet softened, and she just sat on the ground and looked at her straight. The white bath towel she was wearing was scattered beside her, and the whole person looked very weak. Her face was unusually ruddy, and I don't know if it was because of shyness or the steam of the hot spring mist. Seeing this, Susienner was startled, and then looked at Shianayui's body. The long white legs intertwined together almost made her bleed. She was not ready yet, and she was given such an exciting scene. Sure enough, the hot spring was really great. The transformation was really a good job. Although she couldn't do anything, she could enjoy the endless feast for the eyes. With the plot of the book in her mind, Susienner hurriedly stepped forward to support the other party and asked, Are you okay? Feeling the tenderness of the other party's skin, Susianer sighed that it was indeed a girl's body. It was different. However, Susianer thought she was taking advantage of the other party, but she didn't know that after Xianayue touched her, her whole body was soft and weak. The endless sense of happiness, like power, made her barely stand up, but she was dizzy and a little unstable. Looking at Susianer, who was only up to her neck, Xianayue Sakura wanted to hug her, but thinking that they were not familiar with each other, she held back and said in a trembling voice, "I help you wash your body. You have to wash your body with warm water before taking a hot spring bath to adapt to the temperature. Are you okay?" The other party's swaying appearance made Susianer very worried. After feasting her eyes, she also found that the other party seemed to be a little bit wrong. "It's okay, I just haven't taken a hot spring bath with so many girls, so I'm a little shy." Xianayue Sakura's voice stabilized at this time. The two of them just touched their skin, which obviously healed her and made her return to normal. Okay then. Susianer thought this was a sure kill of the hot spring hotel, so she accepted it calmly. The girls came in one after another with bath towels around them, shrouded in mist, all with comfortable expressions. Of course, they had to wash their bodies before taking a hot spring bath. The sound of water splashing was endless, and Susianer was sitting on a small stool, leaning on the soft chest of Xianayue Sakura behind her, enjoying the warm water. Alas, if she were a man now, she would definitely kill the girl behind her on the spot. Although this girl named Xianayue Sakura always looked cold and indifferent, her voice was also cold, but her movements were so gentle. But after thinking about it, if she was a man, she probably wouldn't be able to enjoy this kind of killing. Looking down at the long-gone sword, Susianer said "Gan" in her heart again. The next moment, Susianer felt a warm and thick feeling on her shoulder. She tilted her head to see the blood color, and was shocked, then looked at Xianayue Sakura. "You have a nosebleed." The fourth update. Finally finished. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Transformed into a comic book artist. Author, Miao by Sheng Wu. Chapter 206. You have a nosebleed. This sentence was not said by Susianer, but by Yunlan, who was sitting next to her. Seeing that Yue Sakura Shiana was feeling dizzy, Yunlan quickly came over to support her. "Are you okay?" Susianer, on the other hand, looked confused. "I haven't had the abortion yet, so you're going to have the abortion first?" "It's okay, I guess I haven't been in a hot spring for too long, and my body is not used to the temperature." Xianayue has had close contact with Susianer during this period, so she no longer has the same impatient desire as before. In other words, with Susianer by her side, even if she couldn't touch him, as long as she looked at him and breathed beside him, she could feel her body slowly regaining energy, and she no longer had the unbearable emotion of not meeting him. This strange physical condition troubled Yue Sakura Shiana, and what Lin Yun said to her came to mind. "Your situation is probably caused by the psychological trauma caused by domestic violence when you were a child, which made you suffer from androphobia. You should be aware of this. And if my guess is correct, you are actually a little bit right now. You are autistic, and your situation is very bad if this continues. I didn't plan to say this originally, but you gave me the feeling that you yourself are aware of your mental condition, so this makes me happy. Many mental patients do not know that they suffer from mental illness, but there are a few people who know it and have a clear understanding of their condition. Yue Sakura Shiana is such a person. So Yue Sakura Shiana is a normal person. She understands her own psychology and naturally knows her own situation. Then, Teacher Lin, why am I in this situation? What Xianayue Sakura asked was why Susianer became like this when she saw her, because she felt very abnormal. This is not a novel or animation, this is the third dimension. How could there be such a situation where she fell in love with each other immediately after meeting her? And she would feel itchy if she couldn't see him. Many people on the internet talk about drug addicts and drug addicts. Her situation may be a type of drug addict. You haven't been out for several months. 8 months. Yui Sakura Shiina typed in embarrassment. Her mother signed up for the school on her behalf. You suffer from androphobia, so naturally you don't like to go out, because you will meet boys when you go out, but as you said, writing novels at home, except for the male protagonist, are all beautiful girls. This means that you put yourself in the role of the male protagonist. What you like is beautiful girls. This time you suddenly meet a guest, who is also a beautiful girl. It should be a reaction caused by various circumstances, but your reaction is a bit too strong. It should be an emotion you accumulate when you usually stay at home and don't go out to get some fresh air. Shiina Yuing seemed to understand what Lin Yun said. But she also knew clearly that this was probably caused by domestic violence in her childhood. She hated boys and began to like girls unknowingly. She had not been out for too long, which made her very withdrawn. The longer she went, the more she wanted to make friends. Friend. That's why she writes novels online. She hopes to gain a sense of recognition and make friends online. But the internet is the internet after all. If you don't meet G, there will still be a layer between you. Even Yui Sakura Shiina has felt a very profound emotion in the past few years. The so-called online friends are just the most familiar strangers. This is still a stranger after all. As long as you don't talk for a few days, the relationship will fade. If you don't talk for nearly half a month, you will basically become a stranger. This is the internet. So she longs for real friends, but how can she make friends without going out? This was the reason why she suddenly met Susienur. Lin Yun was right, this was the emotion she had accumulated for a long time, and all of it was focused on Susienur, who she suddenly met. She wants to make friends with the other person, become besties, become good friends who talk about everything, and become lifelong friends. If I may, lilies are the best. Do you want to take a break? Susienur saw Shiina Yuing looking at her blankly, and felt that she had adapted to the temperature and could soak in the hot springs. She no longer needed the flushing service, so she thought that she could let him go back and rest. After all, the other party has a nosebleed. Although it's not a big deal, he still needs to take a rest. It's okay. After Shiina Yuing came to her senses, why did she leave Susienur? Anyway, she has decided now that she will stay by the hot springs all the time, even if she can't touch him, she can just watch. Naturally, Susienur didn't know the other party's perverted thoughts. Instead, she felt that this waiter was very good and should be given a 5-star rating. Yui Sakura Shiina wiped the blood under her nose with warm water, then raised her head. After a while, the blood stopped flowing. The stimulation she just received was too much for Yui Sakura Shiina. It made her dizzy. Her brain became hot and her nose bleeds. Now, after adapting to the impact of Susienur's naked body, she can control herself very well. Seeing that Yui Sakura Shiina was fine, Yunlan next to him breathed a sigh of relief, and then saw Susienur looking straight at him. Yunlan, whose mind was turning, lowered his head and looked at his exposed body, especially that 5 kilograms. Yunlan, who was blushing, quickly picked up the bath towel that fell on the ground next to her and wrapped it up. The 5 kilograms swinging around made Susienur almost follow in the footsteps of Yui Sakura Shiina. Fortunately, she had been a girl for almost a year. Lin Jingshi's body was used to it, so she didn't spurt blood. Seeing the other party wrapped in a bath towel, Susienur sighed with regret after being glared at by Yunlan. And Shiina Yuiying watched the scene silently, and compared with Yunlan, she couldn't help but feel discouraged. I guess I won't grow that big in my life. After the 3 of them washed their bodies, they found a free place and began to soak their bodies in the hot spring. Ah, it's so comfortable. Susianer couldn't help but let out a comfortable moan after soaking her whole body in the hot spring. Just one sound made Xiana Ying next to her flustered, and she wanted to kill Susianer on the spot. Doesn't the other party know that her voice is very nice and very tempting? Yunlan didn't have any strange thoughts, after all, they were all girls. Susianer sank her whole body into the hot spring water, half of her face was immersed in the water, and then, spit bubbles. Puff, Yunlan and Xiana Ying couldn't help laughing. Then they saw Susianer stand up and go somewhere else. Student Su, what are you doing? I'm just walking around. Susianer blinked and looked at the two people who were confused and said, look at the scenery and get some fresh air. Susianer was of course lying. Now that the girls have finished washing and are in the hot spring, she naturally wants to take advantage of them. For this moment, when she met these girls today, they didn't stop rubbing her face and taking photos with her. Now is the time to collect interest. Yunlan nodded to show that she understood. And Shianui Sakura wanted to go with her, but she thought that although the two of them were a little familiar, they were not too familiar, so she didn't say anything. I felt uncomfortable all day yesterday. I went to bed at 7 or 8 o'clock, and then got up early, so I quickly completed half a chapter and posted it. OVO. Transformed into a comic book artist. Author, Miao by Shen Wu. Chapter 207. Chapter 202. My biggest wish is to become the assistant of teacher Miyobi. What's wrong? Yunlan saw Susianer walking around, and when she came back, she lay directly on her. The decadent lying posture, and occasionally rubbing her 5 kilograms, made her laugh and cry and angry. Shianui Sakura next to her looked at Yunlan with envy. She hoped that Susianer would lie on her, and she would definitely let the other party enjoy the most comfortable embrace. Oh, it would be great if I were a man. Susianer soaked in the warm spring water and squeezed into Yunyan's arms, feeling the hugeness of the other party's chest, and her whole head was almost surrounded. But she was sad, painful, and depressed in her heart. She did take advantage of a lot of things after just walking around, but it was just taking advantage. The sharp sword and the scabbard were gone, even if she was bleeding, it was just that. The real guns and live ammunition were gone. Guan and Bao's friendship was just a luxury, so when she thought of this, Susianer felt empty in her heart. What if she took advantage? Aren't these girls someone else's? As a girl, how can you have a harem? So she suddenly felt bored and came back. These white bodies, after 100 years, won't they still be skeletons? At this moment, Susianer understood. Hearing this, Yunlan was confused and didn't know what Susianer meant. Instead, Xiana Ying next to her responded, "What's good about men, so dirty?" After saying this, seeing that both of them were looking at her, she felt that she had said something wrong, and Xiana Ying stuttered, I didn't mean that." "You're right," Susianer agreed, "men are so dirty, not only physically dirty, but also mentally dirty, and there are those otakus who stay at home all day and don't go out, daydreaming every day, and always have some unrealistic fantasies. Such people deserve to be single for life." Yunlan and Xiana Ying were confused. "Don't marry this kind of person in the future." The two saw Susianer scolding with an angry face, and they were confused. They didn't expect Susianer to hate boys so much. Has she been abandoned by a boy before? Yunlan felt that the boy must be blind to abandon Susianer. Susianer is so cute, and as a girl, she wants to take good care of her. And Xianyui's idea is even simpler and more direct. If she meets the boy who abandons Susianer, she must let him know the iron fist of justice, and she will definitely write him into her erotic novels, and as a gay, she will be raped in different ways every day. However, the two did not know that Susianer was scolding herself in her previous life. In her previous life, Susianer had no girlfriend and had no taste of the friendship between Guan and Bao. At that time, she stayed at home every day and didn't go out. She couldn't make friends, so naturally she didn't have any girls. If she could go back, Susianer would definitely go out every day to participate in various activities, such as traveling, hiking, rock climbing, bicycle association, etc. Anyway, she couldn't be separated from the masses. As for this life, she'd better stay at home. Anyway, she won't get married, and now she can support herself. Susianer regretted this. The more she thought about it, the angrier she got. She turned her head, lifted Yun Ian's bath towel, and buried herself in it, saying in a muffled tone, "Don't disturb me, I want to be quiet." Yunlan was startled, and looked at Susianer's childish actions, and couldn't help but laugh and cry. On the contrary, Shianui Sakura has always agreed with Susianer's statement. Boys are so dirty that she can't stand a touch. If she hugs, she will probably faint in disgust. Let's go for lesbian. This sentence almost came out, but fortunately Shianui Sakura knew that lesbian is a beautiful relationship for boys, but it is more unique for girls. Just like most girls like Denmei, boys don't like it either and think it's disgusting. Thinking of this, Shianui Sakura was a little depressed again. By the way, classmate Su, which university are you going to? Yunlan, who was hugging Susianer's delicate body with both hands and did not notice Shianui's envious eyes, asked. There is nearly a month before the college entrance examination. It is estimated that after this 3-day and 2-night hot spring trip, it will be impossible to have such a leisurely rest time. By then, she may not go out of the classroom every day, and the chance to meet Susianer will probably be rare, so she wants to know which university Susianer is going to apply for. Maybe they are in the same city. Huaxia Conservatory of Music. Susianer was suffocated and raised her head to breathe fresh air and said, "What about you?" Huaxia Conservatory of Music? Isn't that teacher Lin Yun's school? Xianui was surprised when she heard it, and then she thought of something. Her face was uncertain, and she didn't say anything beside her, but gritted her teeth and struggled with her mind. I have passed the entrance exam to Kapha. I just need to pass the cultural score in the college entrance exam, Yunlan said with a look of surprise. Then classmate Su, your grades will definitely allow you to go to Yanjing. We may even get together then. Huh? You are an art student. This was the first time Susianer knew about this. Yes, Yunlan nodded wildly, obviously very excited that Susianer was going to Yanjing. I want to be a cartoonist in the future. I have liked reading comics since I was a child, especially the recent comics of Teacher Miyobi. I have read every one of them. My biggest wish is to become Teacher Miyobi's comic assistant. I heard that Teacher Miyobi is still a 17-year-old girl. I admire her very much. If I meet her, I will definitely take a photo with her and get her autograph, especially Teacher Miyobi posted on Weibo before. Yunlan obviously has a special passion for comics. She can't stop talking about this topic. She is completely different from the shy girl who used to be shy after a few words. You read all the comics? Have you read the book? Susianer maliciously speculated and asked directly. Alas, Yun Ian's face turned red when she heard it, and she stuttered, this. You didn't read it? Susianer looked surprised. Yunlan lowered her head and said nothing. She dreamed of becoming a cartoonist, so she naturally read it, because she wanted to read all of Miyobi teacher's comics. If Miyobi teacher wanted to recruit comic assistants in the future, she would definitely apply for the job. So she made enough preparations and waited for that time to come. Just read the book by yourself and know it yourself. Now that Susianer exposed it, she felt a little embarrassed, and she was not used to lying. Naturally, she acquiesced. This made Susianer interested, and Xianui Ying next to her didn't know what she had thought about. Her face relaxed and she made a decision in her heart. If that Myobi teacher is looking for a comic book assistant, will you go too? Susiener looked at Yunlan with excitement, her eyes were like looking at a prey. Although she had just experienced spiritual enlightenment, she still had to take advantage. Anyway, she would not suffer any loss, so why not take advantage? Go, Yunlan answered decisively. As long as Myobi teacher was looking for an assistant, she would go no matter what kind of assistant. What if that Myobi teacher asked you to wear combat uniforms and pose in combat postures? Alas! Yun Ian's eyes were straight, and a question came to her mind. Wouldn't it really be like this? In an instant, she backed out. And Susiener waited for Yun Ian's answer with sparkling eyes. Ahem, the last chapter seemed a bit heated. Actually, what I want to say is that I don't mind whether it's using gift B or reading stolen B, as long as you don't say it out loud. I don't know it ovo. So please don't go off track. I'm not blaming you. If you want to use gift B, use it, I can't stop you, just don't say it in the book review area or this chapter. Don't say it in this chapter, the book review area, or the book friends group. I'll say it 3 times to prevent someone from distorting my meaning and leading the rhythm. I'll give you a reminder here, thank you. By the way, 200 chapters achievement get square root.